7 of the high school football season. Zach Dean, Chris Boyle, live from the News Journal. I don't know. I run out of adjectives each week to call this place, so we'll just call it the News Journal spaceship, space module. I don't know.
The News Journal Cave.
News Journal Cave. Week number 7, and a lot of good games. Starting to the calendar flips to October, and it really starts to ramp up, and you see that tonight, Thursday night, with Mainland and Cocoa. Tomorrow we have some really good ones as well, obviously with FPC, Deltona, Trinity Lopez, Matanzas, New Smyrna. They're all over the map, but Mainland Cocoa, is this the game that they've been they played it last year in Cocoa, but this is the one that's either gotten canceled or rained out or hurricaned out, but this is the first time Cocoa's coming to Mainland, correct?
It's been a while, yeah. So Cocoa's coming up here. It's a different head coach. It's going to be Ryan Schneider in charge, who's a former quarterback at UCF. Of course, John Wilkins is in New Smyrna Beach now. They were supposed to play this game 2 years ago in Daytona Beach, and the hurricane wiped it out. Yep. And now you've got this game here. Big game for both teams. I mean, Mainland, you look at the playoff picture now. If the season were to end today, they're third in points. They would be a number 2 seed. They jumped in front of Palm Bay Heritage for that number 2 seed, which could be very important depending on the first round matchups. Coco's in 4th in their region right now, which is Region 3 4A. Same one Atlantic plays in. They need every bit of the points. Only wild cards are going to get in there.
Right.
So Mainland, last week they struggled a bit offensively. They only scored 19. 14 of those came in the second half. Defense was fantastic again. They shut down Deltona. They really eliminated any of the passing game. They held DQ Mitchell to 1 catch in the game, and he's one of the leading receivers in the county. Yeah. They'll have their hands full tonight with 2 really good skill players on the edges for Cocoa. Keziah Holmes, a 4-star rated junior, and then Willie Gaines as a receiver. He is committed to Toledo.
Surprised me a little bit last week. I thought Mainland was really rolling, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and then a couple of those points. I mean, at one point it was like 5-0 in that game.
Yeah, the first points of the game were safety. It was 5-0 at halftime. Then the ground game really kind of took over in the second half. Teron Keith went over 100 yards. He also threw for over 200 yards in the game. DeAndre McMillan scored his 12th rushing touchdown of the year. It's the most in the county. So they got back on track a bit in the second half. And Deltona has played a lot of teams tough. We'll mention them here in a minute against Flagler this week. They've played just about everybody tough. They've beaten University and Creek. And the other 3 teams, they've given 100% effort. It has not been an issue where they've laid down to anybody. They have given every team they've played on the schedule everything they've had.
Well, let's get right to them. Deltona and Flagler, Palm Coast. FPC with just a wild win last week. Deltona was off, so they've had a couple weeks to prepare for this game. As we saw earlier this year with DeLand, going into Deltona is not an easy task.
Yeah, Deltona, like I said, they've really been strong. Their effort has been terrific on both sides of the ball. Flagler, as you mentioned, I'm wondering about the emotions. You go off of that kind of high when you play Sandalwood as tough as they were. They didn't complete a pass in that game. They still won the game in double overtime. You look at the waves of emotion that went in that game, where it looked like they were going to lose it in the first overtime after throwing an interception. They had to block the field goal to keep the game going. They could have won the game in regulation, but gave up a touchdown in the final minute. So, picking yourself back up for a road trip to go to Deltona in between the district schedule, it's going to be interesting. You always worry about the trap game, as it pertains to like college ball and pro ball. I wouldn't call Deltona a trap game. I think, Travis Rowland's going to understand that this team has played everybody with 100% effort. You just wonder whether Flagler is going to bring and match that intensity right out of the gate when Deltona is going to look for this as a turnaround kind of victory to get them back towards a wild card.
Especially you talking trap game. I mean, we're in October now, and FBC has games against both Creek and DeLand looming. So you don't want to overlook Deltona. And again,
they've still got Mandarin too,
and they've got Mandarin, which beat DeLand. So yeah, I mean this is a good opportunity for Deltona. 2 good defenses, 2 teams that like to run the ball. So whoever can probably establish drives and not turn the ball over, probably gonna have the edge in that one.
Right.
I'm gonna be at that game. You're gonna be out in New Smyrna Beach and Matanzas.
Yeah, playing for a share of first place in the district.
Matanzas with a 6-5 win last week, which I'm all about. If I could have more 6-5 games in football, sign me up.
Walk-off reverse. That's what I like to call it. Noah Cundiff scored with just under 2 minutes left to give Matanzas the win on the road, keep Nice winless on the season, one of their conference rivals in the St. John's River Athletic Conference. this is a big game for both teams. New Smyrna and Matanzas, the winner gets a share of the first place in District 13 6A, and they'll have the opportunity to play Mainland for the district championship. New Smyrna is going to come in this game perhaps a bit favored. They come off a win against Lee. They went up there and won 31-25. Enosh Carter went for over 200 yards on the ground with 3 touchdowns. Bryce Carter had a big game too. A couple of sacks in that game. He's tied for second in the area with 9. He also returned a 75-yard blocked field goal in the game. So you look at it, I think the key matchup here for this game between Matanzas is going to be the Matanzas front. If they can just move anyone to get to get past to get past Bryce Carter and Nazir Rogers, Lester Jones in the linebacking level, they've got to be able to move some guys, open some holes, and hit some big plays in this game to give themselves a chance, because Matanzas New Smyrna Beach will get out and run, and they've got athletes on the offensive side of the ball that can make this game a lot faster paced than maybe Matanzas would like it to be.
A couple quick shots before we leave. Potentially the biggest game in the area this year as far as playoff implications are concerned. Father Lopez and Trinity, and then obviously Atlantic and Seabreeze. Those two are going to be about 5 feet apart out there in LPGA.
Yeah.
Talk about those a little bit.
So Father Lopez is 4-2, Trinity Christian 5-1. Both of these teams are currently situated inside the playoff picture as it stands in their respective regions. This is a big test for both of these teams. For Father Lopez, they haven't made the playoffs in 5 years. Trinity made it 2 years ago. They haven't been into the second round since like the mid-2000s, I think, somewhere around there. So this is a big opportunity for both of these teams to get acclimated to that environment. The running game for Lopez has already totaled over 1,200 yards. They're going to face a really good front 3 for Trinity Christian. 3 Calebs. Caleb Neer, Caleb Lee, and Caleb Bowman.
Wow.
So
cool.
That'll be the matchup to watch in that game. Seabreeze coming off of its best performance of the year, 35-0 win over Pine Ridge. They get an Atlantic team trying to pick itself back up off of a disappointing loss at home to Astronaut, fumbling late in that game, if I'm not mistaken.
About the 2-yard line,
right, against Astronaut. So Atlantic is currently 8th in the region. They're going to need to basically win out to have a real shot at this, considering that Astronaut right now is the only team with a winning record on its schedule.
You are going to be at the New Smyrna Matanzas game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be at the FPC Deltona game.
Godwin is at the Trinity Father Lopez game.
Oh my gosh, a trio, the Trinity this week,
right.
Back and better than ever. Week 7 playoff picture starting to come in focus. I think we're going to know a lot more this time next week and in the coming weeks. I am Zach Dean. This is Chris Boyle. Give us a follow Friday night.